This is going to be the ultimate guide to playing as a melee character in Cisco's RPG Medieval Ultimate. Number one, when you start the game, you will be asked to choose an origin. If you are going as a melee character, we are going to want to go as Demigod Lux. This is from the Origins mod, and basically it gives you buffs and debuffs to your character. So, we are the offspring of a primordial god. Number one, we get a buff where your damage is increased by 40%. Your natural strength, however, means that we take 20% increased damage as well. But don't worry too much about that. So we're going to do a lot more damage, but take a bit more damage. Whenever we're outside, and therefore exposed to the sky, we are going to also take 10% less damage, which when exploring is quite a lot of the time. Your stomach craves divine sustenance, so you can only eat golden apples, golden carrots, and other divine foods. That's the only drawback, I would say, but once you get going a bit, it's not really an issue. We're also immune to darkness and wither effects, and we actually have increased base health. So even though we're going to take a little bit more damage, we're actually going to have more health than everyone else, so it doesn't really matter. Those two things do kind of offset each other. Press select. And then it goes on to our blessing. The best one for you is going to be Ares' Blessing. Minor boon of ferocity grants you 10% increased critical strike chance. So let's talk quickly about critical strikes. This build is going to feature heavily on critical strike chance and damage. The way it works is that you have a base chance of 5%, to do a critical strike, and the base critical strike damage is 150%. So rather than doing, let's say, 100 damage, you've got a 5% chance on hit to do 150 damage. Now the thing is here, in this mod pack, is that critical damage can actually scale rather than being locked at the 1.5 times damage, or 150%. Meaning, if you have and it also works on crit chance, meaning if you have 100% crit chance, you're guaranteed to do a critical strike every time you attack. If you have 200% crit chance, you can actually critical strike twice within a single hit. 350% crit chance means you're guaranteed to do 3 critical strikes, even though you've only hit the enemy once, and have a 50% chance to do a 4th critical strike per hit. That may sound confusing, but basically you want to absolutely stack crit chance and crit damage. And therefore, Ares giving us 10% increased critical strike chance is going to be really important for us. Then we have Major Boon of Lethality. Whenever you slay the Ender Dragon, he lends you a portion of his might and you gain an additional 20% crit chance and 40% crit damage, which is massive. Select that. And then you have your class. You can pretty much choose whatever you want here. I would probably recommend Warrior. Able to use each weapon to its fullest potential. You deal even more damage. You are slowed down less when protecting yourself with a shield, which is really nice. So if you're using a shield and a one-handed weapon, then we're not slowed down as much as we usually would be. Plus, we do a bit more damage. And that is your class. Once you've chosen those, you then come into the game. Before we get any further, I want to let you know that I'm partnering up with G-Portal here to give you 10% off your first month with them. They do all sorts of Minecraft servers, whether you want modded, Spigot, Sponge, anything you want. And you can swap out not just Minecraft, but any game on your server at the click of a button with GameCloud. Meaning the possibilities are endless. Again, check out the link in the description so you can get some money off with code Javier. One of the main things we're going to be looking at, of course, when playing a melee build is what gear, armor and weapons are we going to be using. So to start off, you're going to want to go with the Adventurer's gear, iron upgraded with gold, and it's going to grant you 10% damage reduction. Then, when we go into the Nether, you can then opt for Bright Steel. When above 80% health, you gain a small resistance buff. And this is going to be made basically of Bright Steel alloy, which is smelted from Bright Steel. So as you can see, you just need a few basic materials from the Nether in order to get this. Starts getting more complex when we start needing Dark Steel. This is the third set I would recommend you get. Once every 5 minutes, if damage taken is greater than maximum health, you survive with 10 HP and gain 3 seconds temporary invulnerability, meaning it's a get out of jail free card every 10 minutes for not necessarily if you just go to 0 health, remember, it's saying if damage taken is greater than your max HP. So if it would actually one-shot you from over 100% health. If you've only got 1 HP and a boss or a mob does 1 HP to you, you will still die, I think, by looking at this. It's more saying if it one-shots you from more than your max health. And we gain a small resistance buff. Then we're going to go on to Fell King. This is getting later game now. Reduces damage taken by 25% and reflects some damage back to the attacker. Then you're going to go up to Sylvie's gear. Reduces incoming damage and grants a 10% bonus boost to health. And it boosts attack by 7% of your total health. So this obviously depends on how much health you have as to how much attack bonus you're going to get, because it does 7%. But the last one we can go for is the Ascendant Azure. Sometimes can be better than Sylvie's, depending again on how much health you have, sometimes not. It is massive, though. I would recommend, well, it depends, actually. So we have the Azure one. Now, all that's different here is on the on-key press, that third paragraph. So the Azure heals nearby players and removes negative effects when you press the keybind. We have the Violet one, granting night vision, water breathing, and jump boost to nearby players. And we have the Rogue one, granting a strong resistance buff to nearby players. I would probably recommend going for the Rogue or the Azure, personally. And the main thing about these sets is that when you're above 50% health, it gives you an 80% bonus boost to offensive and defensive stats, which is absolutely insane. It also saves you from fatal damage once every 10 minutes and reduces incoming damage by half. So apart from the Darksteel one, so this one is just going to save you from fatal damage. So basically, a actual get out of jail free card. If you were to die, it'll save you every 10 minutes. Regarding what gems you want to put into these gear, Warlord is going to go on your helmet, which is plus 15% attack damage. Same on the chest plate, giving 15% max health. On the legs, you can go for Hearty Jewels. This is going to give you max health. There's also the Gem of the Combatant, which means we're going to reduce physical damage taken. And also you can add an Ender Surge, which gives plus 2 levels to all existing enchantments. On your feet, I would go for the Hearty Jewel, and anything that is unbreakable, put an Eternal Stellar on, and this will make your gear unbreakable. So anything that is breakable, use an Eternal Stellar to make it unbreakable. Got some rings here as well, 2 bands of Brilliance. Grants 20% increased health and armor when worn. Now we've got all of our weapons. Use an axe. An axe, a one-handed weapon, a two-handed weapon are going to be really, really good. Because of how the crit damage scales and works. But when we're getting into endgame, so basically what I'm saying is, if you have a one-handed weapon that's really good, use that. If you've got a two-handed weapon, use that, but not as good. Priority is going to be using axes until you can then get to your Aquaflora, which is a fabulous weapon. There's a lot going on here. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, because the final weapon you want to get is your Frostfang. Enemy attacks cannot surpass 40% of your max health. If the user is above 50% health, which is you, it grants a temporary boost to attack based on your max health. So if the user is below 50% health, it will then heal you and grant a speed buff. But when you're over 50% health, you get a massive attack bonus based on 40% of your maxed health. And this is the weapon we want to go for the end game. What gems are you putting into here? It's going to be the perfect gem of the Samurai. As you can see on light and ranged weapons, and this is a light weapon. By that, it basically means one-handed weapons. We're going to be using it with a shield. What shield you use? Just whatever the best you can find is. Remember, we're stacking crit as much as we can, mainly. So on light or ranged weapons, plus 20% crit chance. And we want to get that up to 1,000% crit chance, basically. And then, once you get to, from all sources, like 1,000% crit chance, because remember, that means you're going to be doing 10 crits with every weapon hit. Then you can start swapping out Samurai gems for Warlord gems, which are going to give 20% crit damage, at least on the perfect ones. So once you hit 1,000% crit chance, you can then start speccing in for crit damage instead. But you only want to add Warlord gems as long as you're staying at 1,000% crit chance. You don't want to hit 1,000 and then take one out to go to like 980% and add a Warlord in. So once you're about to hit 1,020% crit chance, then be like, oh, okay, I actually don't want to go above 1,000. I want to add in a Warlord. There's something here called the Ring of the Seven Curses. Blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. But what it'll unlock are things like the Forger's Gem, half the experience required for forging and making your anvil more durable, the Emblem of Adventurer, preventing you from digging blocks, gives you some attack speed, Enchanter's Pearl, you receive greater amounts and power of enchantments when using an enchantment table and gives you a charm slot, an extra charm slot. Enchanting has chance to produce both curses and treasure enchantments, and you do not require lapis to enchant. Now you'll notice the red writing on here, only those who bear the 7 curses hold power to obtain and use this item, which is of course the Ring of the 7 Curses. Lastly, the Celestial Fruit, which gives you an extra ring slot permanently. You eat it, but you can only use it if you have the 7 curses. Apart from that, there's all these charms, etc. we can use. The Charming Insignia, which gives you an extra charm slot and allows you to see your own name tag. We don't really care about that. Rip Bottle of Ichor gives you an extra charm slot permanently. Now, a leather belt is really interesting, so let's explain that. So this is from the Relics mod, and it has an ability called Load Capacity, which will give us talisman slots per level of the belt. So you want to upgrade your belt. When you start at level 1, you're going to have 3 slots, and basically, if you don't know how to use this, you just want to re-roll it in the researching table until you get the 5-star quality on that Load Capacity ability on there. You can then go all the way up to 8 slots once you get your belt to maximum level. So the ability's max is 5, and the belt's max is to go to 5 is going to be 10 levels. In order to do that, we're going to need experience from our equipped talismans. The main one we're going to be using to do this would be our Spore Sack. And we're going to want this 8 times. And how that works is that whenever you take damage, it releases spores on the ground around you that explode when an enemy approaches and deals area of effect damage. You are then going to gain experience with the Spore Sack every time it releases a spore on the ground. So what you could do is just AFK on cactuses in all blocks around you while it's happening. Or you can obviously just do it while going about your life. You also want to level the Spore Sack, as when it gains experience, you get a lower cooldown on the spores, meaning the higher the Spore Sack, the more spores you're going to be releasing, and do more spores per level. Hopefully this isn't sounding too confusing. But yeah, that's kind of how you want to work it. This is a build guide for this, remember, so I am expecting you to understand how Relics works. If you don't, then check out my channel. I'll be doing a Relics tutorial guide for the entire mod soon. I do an insane amount of mod guides on this channel. I also have servers on this channel. You can actually play Cisco's RPG Ultimate on through my Discord. There's a link in the pinned comment and description. And you can just join the Discord and then join our server in Ciscos. And if you want to support the channel, you can join Patreon and get some extra perks on our servers. We then have some really easy gloves that we can make. There's Neverite. If I just put in at Aether glove, there's all different gloves. Like level ones are really easy to make and give you plus 0.25 attack power. The best ones are going to be like Neverite, giving 1 attack damage, or Valkyria, Phoenix and Obsidian, Sky Jade, Stratus. Any that give plus 1 attack damage are going to be the best for those ones, and you can make a lot of them. There's the Slicer's Dice. Attacks sometimes do more damage affected by luck. Ace of Iron sometimes negates incoming attacks. Again, it's affected by luck. Caged Heart reduces damage taken. Rage Gloves. You may learn... Oh yeah, Rage Gloves. I can't remember what they do now. Oh yeah, so these give you a skill that increases damage of consecutive attacks, basically. So the more you attack, the more you get. The Midnight Cloak grants a skill that increases damage dealt when invisible via the cloak, and that's going to scale with itself as well. Band of Brilliance, I've mentioned already up here, and then there's the Amulet of Vitality, which gives you some extra health. Don't forget to be reforging all of your gear, etc., to try and get tons and tons of crit chance and crit damage. For your skill points, let's have a little look, shall we? So we're actually starting off down here with the miner, okay? Which you may think, oh, okay, not sure about that. Well, you're going to be sure about it in a minute, okay? What we're first going to do is come up from the miner and go left, okay? All the way into polishing. Your damage is increased if you have gems in your weapon. Then what I would say, if you've already got gems at this point, when you're already up here, then come down here, basically getting a lot more effect of the power from the gems in your weapons and getting an extra gem socket in your weapon. Then what I would recommend, or if you don't have that many gems yet, I would probably recommend coming up here instead and coming along down here with armor, and then coming to get attack speed and speed. I like speed because early game, well, it speeds us up pretty much. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, and decorative boots, getting a gem socket in our boots and some speed as well. Another 6% to be clear. So we've got a lot of extra speed there, so we can whiz around a bit quicker, which is very, very helpful. What I would then recommend doing, so we can get a lot of damage very, very quickly, is coming up into the dimensional gateway. What this does is it actually lets us come all the way across the board here to the other side. You then have to click the next one and spend a point on it to actually connect both sides in order to actually do it. So you do get 2 skill points you're going to have to spend there, but it's worth it because then we're going to go get some evasion and blocking and then straight up into Runic Blade plus 20% damage if you've got an enchanted weapon. So as soon as you put an enchant on your weapon, boom, 20% damage right there. Again, from that enchant, what we can basically do is come up, 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 and up into Excalibur, plus 5% damage per enchantment level on your weapon, and plus 5% damage if you've got enchanted weapon again. So you've basically got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25% extra damage just on these basic ones, and then plus that one, so 45% damage just from a few, skill points, all going towards damage. You can then get another few here, 1, 2, 3, for another 15% damage if you've got an enchant on your weapon. Then I think it's a good time to get some defensives, where we'd go 1 more down into blocking and evasion, will to survive, plus 10 evasion if you have at most 50% health, and by the way, evasion grants you a chance to avoid damage. Then we're then going to get some more evasion here, and go for the Hatter, which gives you an extra gem socket in all crafted helmets, which of course can be a big difference. Then what we're going to do is go evasion, 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 and then get some crit chance and 25% crit hit damage, which is really nice. And you can go plop for an extra 2% there as well. Once we've done that, we are going to just come up here for crit chance and get 2% critical hit chance if you've got an enchanted weapon, and Reaper, plus 5% critical hit damage per enchantment on weapon. And now we are fully done with this side of the board, and we're going to come back down to the left-hand side. At this point, we're going to go for these yellow gems. So if you've got gems in your weapon, we're going to go damage, 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 damage here. So all of these ones. And then we're going to come all the way down to the precious weapon here. So a lot more damage if we have gems in our weapon. We're also going to come down here for some block speed, break speed, if you have a pickaxe in, that's just really nice. And then coming here for greed, where we get a gem socket in our equipment, but also some block speed with our pickaxes, so we can get through stuff quicker. Lastly, what I want you to do is come into the crit chance and the attack speed, one here, so the purple and blue one, and then get the cursed stone and light crystals, giving more attack speed per gem and also critical hit damage per gem in your weapon. But don't go any further than that, just get the 2 purple ones and then stay there. After that, we're then going to come basically all the way down this bit, so down here, to safety helmet. So a load where we get gems inserted into armor gives a better effect on power. And then we're going to continue that down into the Cullinan one. Gems inserted into armor give more power, and you get an extra gem socket in your chest plate. Oops, I didn't do it properly. There we go. Don't know what's happening there. What we're now going to do is basically coming down these routes one at a time. So I want you to work your way down to Jeweler. So come into these ones here for some more evasion and armor, and get the Jeweler, where you get an extra gem socket in your ring. We're then going to fill out both sides of this. So this side here, up into Talisman, and then into Aristocrat with an extra ring slot, but also down the right side with the red gems here into Star Shards, giving more effect of your ring gems. Then we're going back up, and then we're going to come down this one into Assassin, and then just link these up. So basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So basically linking up these red slots with spiked rings and the Assassin one. But don't go down into this one here, okay? This one here, don't go down into that one. But what you will do is come down the right-hand side of Assassin for more crit chance. And we are going to come down into Gutting for 50% critical hit damage and Backstab for a bit of crit hit chance. So lovely critical hit damage and chance there as well. Then we've got 11 points left. Cruelty, increased damage if the target is affected by poison. And then we're going to come down into damage against poisoned. And then come all the way down this one. So down, 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 down into Overdose. Plus 15% damage per effect on you. And we've got 4 points left. So we're then going to go... Let's go into here for Intoxication. More crit chance if they're affected by poison again. Which leaves us with 2 points. To be honest, what I would probably... Oh! I never took Talisman. There we go. I hadn't clicked into that one. That's where I'd missed one. Honestly, I'm not quite sure where I've missed another point. But what I would probably do, if I have missed one, it may be that I haven't clicked one properly. Doesn't look like it. Is I would probably just go down in to get a bit more speed. I love being speedy. But there you go. That is how we're going to be using our points. Off these alone, is the show stats working? Confirm. Show stats. What we're getting from this is 8 armor, 2 armor per gem and helmet, attack speed, a lot more attack speed if we have gems in our weapon, 35% block break speed if you've got a pickaxe. We're going to get some evasion, 8% speed. We're going to get 30% amplification chance on harmful potions, an extra gem socket in our helmet, 5+ max health in necklaces, 10% crit damage, and then we just go over an insane amount of crit damage and hit chance depending on what we've got. And that is the skills we're going to take. Lastly, for things like Enchants, this is what I would go with. I thought I'd just write a list for you so you could pause the video and have a look rather than me yapping on, showing you them all. Smite, Sharpness, Sweeping Edge, Venomous is be really nice for poison. Unbreaking, obviously Mending down here. If you have got the Eternal Stellar, obviously you won't need these because you will have Unbreakable gear anyway. A few other cool ones here like Leech are going to be really nice. Protection, again, Unbreaking and Mending, etc. You don't need if you have Eternal Stellar on your armor. And then Boots, there's quite a lot that you're going to want specifically on there, which I've listed out. If you're interested in what they do exactly, if you're not sure about any of them, I think a lot of people will recognize a lot of these basic enchants anyway. But just have a look at the books in game, depending on what you get, or wait until you get these enchants and then tick them off against my list that I'm giving you. Again, don't forget I actually have got a server for this mod pack, and you can join our Discord linked below to join and play with all of us as well. Thanks for watching, and before you go, I just want to say, if you want to join the Patreon in the description, that really helps support the channel, and you get access to our premium servers like this one here, which is currently ATM 10 at the time of filming. Of course, if you're watching a year after posting, it could be ATM 11, 12, or even maybe 13. We also do offer free-to-play servers, which you could just join the Discord to get, and if you'd like your own server, then check out the description for our G Portal 10% off with my link. Lastly, if you're new here, don't forget to check out the channel. I have an insane amount of mods available. As you can see, loads of tech mod guides, magic mod guides, utility mod guides. There is literally hundreds of guides that I have done. My goal here is to do every single mod in Minecraft.